Well, how is your day going? Mine's been pretty great so far. It's a lovely Thursday. Welcome to the show, everyone. Sorry I'm starting a little bit late, but as you recall, yesterday there was a flecks of water coming down during the show, and then after, when I got up there, a lot of it came down right behind me onto the floor, and it was blue. Yes, that's right. There's only two sources of blue water in my house. Toilet water and the occasional amino drink that's blueberry flavored, that I'm pretty sure it wasn't that. I mean, I had to taste it several times, but I'm fairly certain that was a key. That was not something that I was like, no, not good. So turns out, many of you most of the people, according to the insights on my YouTube page, most of you are plumbers. And by the way, welcome to the HAL SPARKS Mega Worldwide show. I can't be more elated that you are with me and joining me today in this intrepid adventure through. I honest to God, I'm surprised on your way here you guys didn't get run over by the wambulance. There are a lot of them out on the street tonight. Oh boy. Anyways, so turns out leaky toilet tank, thank God, because of a seal on the thing that was because of house sway in the wind, thing, and then and that basically. Stop me if I'm getting too technical. Luckily, my background is blue. Otherwise, you would really be able. It looks like it's splotched up. Just imagine that the splotchiness that's behind me is from what I'm telling you. Anyways, it's fixed now. Thanks to our dear friend Melvin who came over. I salute you, Melvin, and the great work that you did today. It was a team effort. We had a great conversation about whether or not to cut into the drywall or try for what we thought was our primary belief, that it was the wax seal underneath the guest room toilet. And that was my vote, and he felt the same way. And we went about the process of swapping it out. And so fingers crossed. I will not, at some point in the middle of the show, if Money Pit style, a toilet just drops through the floor and smashes behind me, just expect me to laugh like Tom Hanks. I'm well beyond getting upset at anything these days. Yeah, the wax seal was an easy fix. Yes, John. And there's a chance it's something else, but that seemed like the most logical one. And so we went with the cheapest, most Occam's toilet brush choice in this situation. So, yeah, are your teeth blue? Not anymore. But it's but only because I counteract them with those when you were in elementary school, those things they'd make you chew and they turn your teeth pink where there was tartar. You guys remember that? I mean, when I was a kid, it would just turn my whole fucking grill pink. I love the taste of those things. I just bought a box. So I just have them now. And anyways, of course, and my beverage for today, I'm fighting fire with fire. I just had cleaning fluids of every possible type. Like I scoured the floor. I was like, so welcome. Glad you could be here. And, I will say it's been a difficult, on top of that, the stress, the fear, the difficulty, the pain. Obviously, some of you may know, I survived an attack today. I don't know how I do it. It's so hard. When Ana comes for me, how will I ever recover? You cut me to the quick, woman. How would you ever come up with something that gets me right in the heart? You know how homophobic I am. And it just gets me right away. I'm going to be strong. Thank you, chat room. I will try and be strong. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. All I was trying to say was vote, you know. And then she comes at me with something like straight out of Shakespeare, and I don't even know how am I supposed to respond to that, you know? I was going to make like an obscene balloon animal. But it just didn't seem enough. I'm kidding. I'm actually crying from laughing so hard. Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much. Always back to Ana Kasparian. Why don't you just work it out? Thank you very much. I'm a vegetarian. So yeah. So this is I obviously had the response that every logical person had today when the Republicans, all in lockstep, blocked the Pact Act to expand benefits to veterans who were exposed to burn pits and are experiencing cancers. And our dear friend Major sharing with us today that he's got recurring cysts from this shit. And the Republicans do this just for spite. And these assholes over at TYT are telling us that, there's no difference. Every Democrat voted for the fucking things. Matter of fact, they drafted it in the first goddamn place. Every single one. Every single one. Every single one voted for the CHIPS Act, too. Every single one is going to vote for the new Manchin deal, too. Every single one of them. Not a single Republican. Not a one. Not fucking one. But hey, two legs in the same pair of pants, and I think it was Cenk Uygur who recently said the Democrats are bastards. That was an action. Remember that? We played that. They don't care about you. They're bastards. They're bastard people, and I hate them and their ass faces. I said. So initially, I posted this. The Biden-Manchin Schumer deal will include, and this is true, $369 billion in energy and climate change initiatives. The American Rescue Plan had almost $200 billion. It actually had closer to $400 billion, but I was being generous because some people will view the infrastructure improvements to be, include like railroad crossings, which are for cars and therefore not whatever the fuck. But it also included, electric charging stations and the like. And the Infrastructure Act, which also passed. And in that, $65 billion for clean energy and grid-related investments, $7.5 billion, I can speak. $7.5 billion to build a national network of charging stations for electric vehicles, $55 billion to expand access to clean drinking water, which is removal of lead pipes. But, fuck Flint, Michigan. If we can't get everything, nobody gets anything. Right, guys? And $21 billion to clean up Superfund and brownfield sites and cap orphaned oil and gas wells. All what I would refer to in my life as good things. Now, if you'll recall, recently we showed a flip out that Ana Kasparian did. I think it was over the judge in Kentucky. Remember that? Hold on, let me see if I can find. Not that we need to watch it again, but God knows it'd be worthwhile. So the let's see. We'll go to and then thing, and then and then right, and then they're live shitting on Manchin's deal because it pokes a hole in their whole fucking raison d'etre. And let's see, there. It was one of the shorts. Let's see, right-wing hypocrisy is good. It's because it's. I mean, you got to give them this. They a shit ton of videos. They crank these fuckers out in bite-sized, inane asshole morsels. Let's see. There we go. There we go. I think this is it.
How can any Democratic voter look at this sad, pathetic excuse for a leader and think, nailed it? Wakey, wakey, Democratic voters.
Sorry, why did that click back? What the fuck? Go back.
How can any Democratic voter
pause? Okay, there it is.
Look at this sad, pathetic excuse for a leader
who got us out of Afghanistan, cut the deficit and unemployment in half, passed the largest rescue package for people in American history, has added more than $750 million to fight climate change to the U.S. budget and outlays in the last 18 months. What else? Is set, by the way, to pass a bill through a compromise with Manchin that will cap costs for Medicare patients and cap insulin. Okay, please continue.
And think, nailed it.
I mean, yeah, pretty much, yeah, within the realm of human possibility and actual human beings being capable of the things that they say they're capable of. Yeah, pretty much rocking it.
Wakey, wakey, Democratic voters.
Yeah, so what she means is don't vote this fall, just for the record.
All of the apologists for corporate Democrats who spend all
she means me.
their days on Twitter shaming anyone who dare question the leadership.
No, we're not. You can question anything you want. It's America. We're pissed at you fuckers for depressing the vote. Fuck you.
Of these pathetic people in the Democratic Party.
Pathetic. Yeah, like Elizabeth Warren and Ron Wyden and yeah.
Wakey, wakey.
You already said that part.
This is a lifetime judgeship.
Oh yeah. By the way, this was about something that didn't happen.
It's a federal judge.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
It's a federal judgeship.
Is it federal though?
Which is why the president appoints the individual.
Yeah, but it has to clear the state. But this didn't happen anyway.
The Senate confirms the individual.
Right, but the states have a say in their. Oh, never mind. We talked about.
I don't know
this
if
before.
you guys know this. Might sound a little crazy. Democrats are in charge in the federal government.
No, they're not. We have 48 votes in the Senate.
Why are we doing favors for Turtle Man Mitch McConnell?
We're not, but I will say we need. Judgeships in general, you can't pass. You can do the Supreme Court judges with 50 plus the VP. You can't do other judges that way, dummy.
How can?
Oh, by the way, that's it. That's the entirety of the thing. Wasn't there another one though? Fuck, I have to go through all these. It was like maybe it was just in the clip that she was talking about. The long form where we did the needle drop in the middle of it, where she was like, yeah, Joe, is this it?
Joe Biden would be stupid to run again in 2024.
Ugh.
He needs to sit his ass down, take his nap. Why do you want to run again in 2024? You're ineffective.
Yeah, he's ineffective.
You are a failure.
He's a failure. Again, we're out of Afghanistan, infrastructure bill, cut the deficit and unemployment in half. They're on the precipice of capping insulin. But I'm sorry. So what now?
You have failed the electorate.
I see. All right.
You have all these people showing up to vote.
Yeah, once, and even then, you have to show up multiple cycles in a row because this election is not. Joe Biden's not running this time, by the way. You recognize if you're angry at him for shit that you made up, taking it out on Democrats that he would need to pass the agenda is counterproductive.
Canvassing on your behalf.
Yeah, Ana canvassed on Biden's behalf.
Ensuring the two Democrats won the Senate runoff races in Georgia because...
Did Ana canvass in Georgia?
You said it was so important to have that majority in the...
Well, it's not a majority. We literally don't have a majority. We can just pass if we get 50 votes, control of the Senate with one vote is not a majority.
Senate. And then you turned around and did nothing.
Nothing.
For
You did nothing. You don't fucking do nothing.
American people.
You don't do
Sit down.
Sit down. You do nothing. Okay? Why is she yelling? Because she's angry. She's angry because she is responsible for the Pact Act not getting passed today. Now, ultimately, it will get passed because, and again, this is what I was referencing this is what Ana Kasparian calls nothing. Okay? Nothing. You've accomplished nothing. Right? And usually they'll let one of these slide. Right? I don't know why, I did tag her in it. And this was her response. Only a washed up water boy. So, for corrupt politicians would celebrate handing our public lands over to the fossil fuel industry for more drilling and fracking as the world burns. It's like I didn't realize Anwar was in the bill, but we'll have to take a look. The profits from federal lands will be privatized. The climate consequences will be socialized. And I obviously, this is the Manchin deal ties clean energy products to oil drilling. Yes, we know. And then the response was, nice to know you still get easily triggered, your guilty conscience. It's the only way most of us know you have a conscience at all. Good luck rooting for failure. Don't you have some voter turnout to suppress? That was my response. Don't you have some voter turnout to suppress? Was, I think, a criticism of her on a professional level, on a career level. Maybe that's what this was. Maybe this is a queer as folk slam. Don't you have a corporate Democrat's dick to choke on? All right. So I, of course, responded, tell you what, if we do a Queer as Folk reboot, I'll have them write it in. But yes, very, very upset, these folks. Very, very upset. Overall, and by the way, I want to, there she goes. She tries, and this is the Bloomberg thing. This is what she's tying it to. Manchin wins big nods to oil and deal ending log jam on climate. Oil, gas, lease sales considered linchpin for Manchin support. Green groups rage at measure they say undercuts climate goals. The Biden administration is down from 50% to their 40% carbon goals just on this bill alone. We got 40%, not 50%, and that's the clamor. The breakthrough spending deal reached by Senator Joe Manchin and Chuck Schumer would commit a historic $370 billion to combat climate change through clean energy tax credits, a green bank, and incentives to plug methane leaks. But it comes at a cost that some green activists are finding impossible to accept. More oil and gas leases on public lands and waters. The measures outlined late Wednesday in the 725-page spending bill require the sale of drilling rights in the Gulf of Mexico and Alaska. The bill, which, by the way, we already sell. This is not like virgin territory. The bill would also make new renewable power projects on federal land and water contingent on future sales. The bill would also make renewable power projects on federal land and water contingent on future sales. The legislation illustrates the challenges Democrats in winning over coal-loving Manchin, a key moderate. By the way, you're not getting coal out of offshore drilling. A key moderate whose vote is needed in the evenly split Senate, whilst meeting the rest of his party's demands to make climate change a major and urgent priority. Manchin's steadfast support of his home state's fossil fuel industry has enraged environmentalists and could lead to yet another setback for the climate agenda of President Joe Biden. Yes, passing a bill is a setback. Who campaigned on a pledge to block new oil and gas drilling on public lands. This is a climate suicide pact. Brett Hartle, a director with the Center for Biological Diversity, an Arizona-based environmental group. The amount of leasing this bill mandates is absolutely massive. I don't think the climate offsets are enough to cover all the drilling that is going to happen. To be sure, the breakthrough deal includes what would amount to a record level of spending on climate change, including a slew of new and extended tax credit for solar, wind, nuclear power, energy storage, and clean energy that has been hard fought for the renewable energy industry. It extends tax credits for electric vehicles and other clean cars, including for the first time used models. Analysts, yes, that's right. You can now get a tax credit buying a used electric car or hybrid. Analysts at the Roding Group said an initial analysis shows the measures could possibly put the U.S. on track to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 40% in 2030. By the way, this bill alone This is not the only thing we're doing. Let me remind everybody, this bill alone will push us to 40%. This bill alone pushes to 40%. Not including the stuff that was in the infrastructure bill, not including the stuff that was in the rescue plan, not including the $2.8 billion that Biden signed like a week ago. The concern is if we don't get this across the finish line, there is no way we can meet President Biden's climate goals. Under the legislation, the Interior Department would be able to issue new wind and solar rights over the next decade if it recently held oil and gas lease sales. The requirement would constrain the administration's ability to repair fossil fuel developments on federal land, despite pleas from climate activists to halt drilling and rapidly pivot to green energy. The new oil easing requirements come in addition to other fossil fuel benefits that are loathed by environmentalists who could draw opposition from progressive Democrats in the House, many of whom sought a more expansive climate plan. By the way, Camilla Jayapal and all these were touting this deal. Democrats can only afford to lose 4 votes if every Republican in the chamber votes against the measure. The deal announced Wednesday includes subsidies, and that's in the House. So if the squad votes against it, if they lose one more, I guess the squad and Ro Khanna, is he technically part of the squad? Then the deal falls apart. The deal announced Wednesday includes subsidies as much as $85 per metric ton for carbon capture, an amount seen potentially extending the life of coal plants with billions of dollars in tax credits. The increase from the current level of $50 was backed by a coalition of groups that included utility DTE Energy and coal mining group Peabody Energy Group. This is the thought by environmentalists that if you get into the carbon capture business, it makes it will mitigate the damage by fossil fuels, and therefore, that will encourage more fossil fuel use. Well, we don't have to encourage more fossil fuel use worldwide. And taking it out of our edition would put us on track for the Paris Climate Accord changes that we were working towards anyways. The legislation also subsidized the production and use of hydrogen, a fuel backed by Manchin, through a production tax credit and other means. That's right. There you go. Honda's hydrogen car making a comeback. There you go. In the short term, the Interior Department would be required to hold previously planned lease sales in the Gulf of Mexico and Alaska and Cook Inlet. The Interior Department had said in May that it was scrapping all 3 auctions, citing a lack of industry interest for the sale of tracts of land in the Cook Inlet and conflicting court rulings for the decision to nix 2 Gulf auctions. The legislation would also, fucking land's already up. They were already up. Oh, God. The legislation would also effectively reinstate an auction of Gulf leases that was held but later invalidated by a federal judge after finding that the government didn't sufficiently examine the climate consequences of the move. That went back on the block. That's been out for a while. Under the bill, the Interior Department would only be able to issue new onshore wind and solar rights rights of way on federal land if the agency had held an onshore oil and gas lease sale in the prior 4 months. For offshore wind, the requirement would be an auction of offshore oil and gas leases spanning at least 60 million acres in the year beforehand. The measure lays out requirements for the timing and scope of these auctions, and it mandates that, which we've already surpassed those levels. If a sale sparsely attended or no successful bids are lodged for oil and gas leases, the requirement would be met. So the ones that there was lack of interest in Alaska, remember that? Okay, that qualifies for the next fiscal year, which means they don't have to be sold, which means you can sell them to oil. They've already met that standard in the law, and you can sell offshore wind farms now. The potential mandate follows criticism from some oil and gas advocates that the Biden administration has moved too slowly in offering federal land and water for new drilling, and they come on the heels of a Biden administration proposal for a 5-year oil and gas leasing plan that includes an option for no new offshore sales between 2023 and 2028. The provision, which would, if you sold a bunch this year, then you could, by this law, you wouldn't have to sell them for a year after that, and then the year after that. Yeah, there we go. This gives us energy security, Manchin said Thursday. And the final deal is well balanced. The deal would impose long-sought reforms for the oil and gas industry with new and higher fees for developments on public land and water. That includes requiring energy companies to pay royalties on all of the oil and gas produced on federal lands, including the methane that is vented, flared, or otherwise escapes into the atmosphere, which is currently not what's the law. It remains to be seen whether the underlying legislation, which includes a slew of new and extended tax credits for clean energy and electric vehicles, can be backed by the full Democratic caucus in the 50-50 Senate. It would also have to pass the House, where progressives have sought a much more expansive plan. They're going to vote for it. This, by the way, this is the gotcha that Anna threw up, that it's better if we don't have this at the rest of this. By the way, the rest of it isn't all climate. This is just the climate portion of that bill. That said, whoops, here we go. That was fat. Oh, and apparently someone didn't like that. She said washed up, and I said everyone washes up after talking to you, Anna. It's the only way to get the stank off. And someone said log off, HAL. Boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. Yeah. So, anyways, there we go. That was my afternoon with that crowd, and not so. I mean, somehow I think there seems to be a belief on that side that I'm going to, if attacked over this stuff, get upset and stop calling them out for suppressing the vote. Like, why the fuck would I? You see, because unlike the Young Turks, and I mean this genuinely, I actually give a shit about these changes being made. Enough to recognize what is materially possible, take what we can get and build on it, because lives are on the line. Instead of sitting in multi-million-dollar homes like she and her cohort and one of her ex cohorts do on the regular, and say, I'll accept the progress when it comes to me. Sorry. That's not how life works. And I'm seriously not going to back down ever from that shit. And I think the reason they get that upset is because they know I'm right. They get really triggered when I bring up the fact that they helped deliver the White House to Donald Trump in 2016. They did. They know they played a part in it. That's why they get so mad. And you can't be a progressive if you don't make any fucking progress. Ahem. If I may. By the way, that said, welcome to HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide. It's nice to be here. I am wearing currently, I wore this the other day when I first came back. I flew through Minneapolis a couple weeks ago, just in the airport, had to change planes. And there was a print store in the Minneapolis airport. And I was like, what? How awesome is this shit? And so I went in and I looked around. I was like, I can't, if I get this stuff, I'm going to have to recheck my bag. There's so much cool stuff in there. So I just settled on this shirt. So, yeah. I enjoyed it. It's good. It's nice. Yeah. So anyways, yeah. Way to go, Minneapolis. Way to support the favorite son. And we love Prince and we always will. Just saying it. They had a bunch of other stuff too. Some of it they didn't have in my size, but that means, by the way, that if they have one of those, they've got to, the next time I go to Minneapolis for a show, I'm going to Paisley Park, and basically you're going to need to super chat me. That's all I'm saying. You guys got to super chat me so I don't go broke going to Paisley Park the next time I make a pilgrimage. There you go. All right. So first up, where to start today? Where to start today? There is so much. So many times I look at the reaction from the right wing and how they are dealing with the rhinos amongst them, the infighting, and I try not to get too overjoyed about it. Try. Just on the one hand, you just don't want them to catch on that you're aware that they're, beating themselves up. So why would you even have to bother? But when it gets so on the nose, that, by the way, the thumbnail on this is very telling. This is Sebastian Gorka. And have they already betrayed President Trump? This is the title on this one just leapt out at me. Have they already? And Peter Navarro with Sebastian Gorka on America First. Have they already betrodden upon? Have they already betrayed Lord Trump of the House Trump? Drink. Why is he drinking? Oh, he's guzzling olive oil. Okay, it's an ad. All right, here we go. This is it. Here we go. Have they already betrayed Donald Trump? Okay, and by the way, this is, I guess, that's Steve Bannon. So Peter Navarro comes on in this clip. Bannon is going to get sentenced to some time. And this is, I mean, he lost, even when it, like, I think he's going to do some time on appeal. I think they're going to start his sentence immediately because he's such a prick. And I think Navarro, you just have to enjoy the fact that as they play this clip that Sebastian Gorka is playing from the Salem News Channel, Navarro is watching this and sweating. He's staring into the dark abyss of his future. So,
you can't govern this country if you're not looked as legitimate. This is why no head of state in the world treats him with any respect. This is why the Chinese Communist Party treats him with no respect.
Yeah, why doesn't the Chinese Communist Party treat him with any respect? They won't even take his 2-hour phone call that he was on with Xi Jinping yesterday where China got nothing. And
this is why the Saudis...
This is why the Saudis let him come over there without curtsying or doing the sword dance or touching the big glowing orb. Thank you, Treva.
The fist bump.
The fist bump. Yes, the terrorist fist bump.
You don't do that to a legitimate president of the United States. We have a constitutional crisis in this nation right now, and they're charging me with a crime. Have the guts and the courage to show up here.
Yeah, they don't have to, dummy. If the prosecution can convict you without calling any witnesses, you fucked, son. It's very light. The audio is shitty. This is, I mean, I got it almost all the way turned up. And I know as soon as they go to Gorka, it's going to be even louder. Sorry.
And say exactly why it's a crime. Benny Thompson.
They don't even have the right to come down and say it's exactly why it's a crime. The judge knows. I don't know if you know this, but judges are fairly aware of the law. I think they learned it in school.
It is a total, absolute disgrace.
Yeah, yes, that's a good point. The chat is also pointing out that Steve Bannon put up no witnesses, didn't testify himself, and put up, his defense team put up no defense. Why the fuck would any member of Congress take time out of their busy fucking day, out of their fucking vacation, out of their free time, to come down there and help convict someone who is literally throwing themselves in jail?
That is my former colleague, my former boss from the White House, standing outside the court reading.
Yes, looking into my future.
The Riot Act to the illegitimate.
Reading the Riot Act to people who aren't there. And if they even glance across this, laugh quite readily.
Legitimate man who bears the title President of the United States, of course, Steve Bannon. He has locked in. He will be with us.
Wait a minute. He was reading the Riot Act to Biden? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought he was complaining about the January 6th committee.
For a whole hour tomorrow here on America First. I'll be on his show as well.
Oh, thank God. So it's sort of like an autofellatio version of a human centipede. Two snakes facing each other, but they are one.
This week, so you don't want to miss that episode.
No, you're right. I don't. I'm going to. I don't want to. I have a lot of shit to do. I wish I could make the time, but I honestly have sewage leaking from my ceiling fan, and it's believe me, Seb, between you and sewage leaking from the ceiling, it's Sophie's choice. But I got to live here. I don't. Yeah, you're basically. I just want you to know though, in the realm of issues in the world, you are absolutely on par with sewage leaking from a ceiling fan.
Of the war room, but we're going to talk to somebody else who's
Oh, good.
On afoul of the deep state, also a former colleague of mine from the White House.
I'm seeing a trend here.
He's a former assistant to
There's a lot of formers going around here. Can any of you fuckers keep a job?
President Trump, former director of the White House National Trade Council, Peter Navarro. Welcome to the Salem News Channel.
You could even hear him in the background going, what? Listen to him as he's getting led in, like the nerve language. This is a happy man. This is a guy who's looking into the future and breathing a deep sigh of relief and knowing that the road is opening in front of him.
A former colleague of mine from the White House. He's a former assistant to President Trump, former director of the White House National Trade Council. Peter Navarro, welcome to the Salem News Channel.
Hey, Zebby, and you gotta have a little bit of sense of humor with all of this. Behind me, is besides the former Trump hotel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's yet another former. Good save, Navarro. How long did that fucking last? Yes, the former. You know what? As a matter of fact, yes, I did. TOH show. I did. I think. But way to fuck up, Peter. It is true, though. That is no longer a Trump property. I'm sure he'll buy it back in 2024 as he's running so he can rent out the rooms to cuttery lunatics again.
This is the Department of Justice.
Yes, the current you can barely see the former Trump building for the current Department of Justice. Full of people, by the way, who still have their job.
Here, Seb. And the funny thing about it is,
it's hilarious.
Is that I took that picture myself from my apartment, like literally across the street. And right over here is like the FBI, right?
Right. The irony.
And so,
yes. Remember when he was like, the FBI, went and got him at the airport because he was fucking off because he'd been blowing off the warrant. And it was right across the street. Like he literally could have answered the warrant, surrendered. They would have let him go because it wasn't, it wasn't like a bench warrant. He had to show up and say, I recognize, I'll see you. Okay, I'll see you when I see you. He didn't answer it and then fucked off. Like they busted him at the airport. Yeah, you can't fly out when you hang out with people like Steve Bannon, dummy.
On June 3rd.
A day that shall live in infamy.
The FBI decided rather than walk across the street and arrest me, or just better yet, like they should do, call me up for a voluntary surrender, they let me get all the way to Reagan Airport.
They let you get all the way to Reagan. How could they? Why isn't the FBI there to save you from yourself, Peter Navarro?
And I spent part of the rest of that day in leg irons and solitary confinement. And
yeah, but that was after you got out. And I'm not here to yuck your yum. That's just not my thing. I don't mind cuffs occasionally, but they chafe.
This is the two-tiered system of justice we now live in, Seb. But it's good to be with you. And
yes, there's those who participate in it and those who choose not to. And you tried to be in one, and then you got put in the other.
The thing I want to really talk about today is what you were kind enough to talk about yesterday.
Yeah, it's very sweet of you, Seb.
Which is this I call it the stink tank, the America First Policy.
I like that. So
yeah. Talk about the stink tank. Ouch. You've been hanging with Trump, haven't you? That's good. That's good stuff.
Let's talk. So first things first, if people want to support this man who is being targeted for his conservative beliefs.
His concerted beliefs? He was doing a concert in Nashville.
Please go right now and buy Taking Back Trump's America. It is.
That's the name of the book. Did we see that before? And it's got a foreword by Steve Bannon. It's got a blurb from Steve Bannon. How in the world he got Steve Bannon to sign off on his book, I'll never know.
By Peter Navarro. Why
we lost the White House and how we'll win it back. Well, can you sell half the book? Because I already know the first part, And the second part will just be hilarious. Maybe that's the punchline and the first part's the setup.
We lost the White House and how we'll win it back. That is the easiest way that you can support this man. But yesterday...
Yeah, the rest of them require, files in cakes and condoms full of illicit drugs. It's just a smuggling endeavor.
President Trump, our former boss...
It looks like, I like you. You're a guy. Hey, guy, person. Are you the State Department lady who's been there for 25 years? This is the best picture of him and Trump that he can come up with. Where he's like, oh, Rochester. And Trump's like, I love it when you do Jack Benny.
Spoke at something that is meant to be, quote unquote, his think tank, and you wrote a scathing piece.
Ouch. Sorry. Oh. It's a scathing, scatherific.
At American
I'm just going to
Greatness.
enjoy that.
We love American.
Hold on. Oh, we love American Greatness magazine. The foldouts are incredible. Yeah. They're all lateral pictures of Kimberly Guilfoyle. It's just her mouth. Just you just smack the pages together. Trump's think tank prepares to betray him. The American First Policy Institute's broader agenda appears to be to hijack the political attractiveness of Trump, but replace Trump with their own anointed rhino. Oh, pointy birds. Oh, pointy, pointy. Anoint my head. Anointy.
Greatness, Chris Buskirk.
I'm sorry. This is awesome. Can we just enjoy this for a second?
The founder will be with us next. And I'm just going
Oh, good. All right.
read the opening, and I want you to explain why you wrote it.
Yeah.
Powerful piece, and I agree with it. Don't go, boss. That's my strong advice to President Trump as he prepares to deliver a speech in Washington.
Why are you reading it off your fucking phone? Show it on screen. And why does everyone get by with shittier production than I have on my own? You lazy sons of... where's the bootstrappers? Where are the America First? Where's the American exceptionalism in the Republican Party? What the shit is this?
At his alleged think tank, the America First Policy
Ouch. Alleged think, because they don't think.
Institute. Yes, it's important for President Trump to have a well-credentialed stable of policy experts capable of both building a 2024 platform.
Why? He didn't have one before.
And finding solid MAGA talent to populate a new Trump administration. But the AFPI Trojan horse.
Ouch. The Trojan horse. That's how they get in there. Just...
whose leadership is now bragging about how it will staff Trump's shadow cabinet, is decidedly not that. Peter, Trump, the Trump think tank you describe as a Trojan horse, that's powerful language. Explain.
Yeah, no one knows what the fuck you're talking about. I like it.
Yeah, well, I like Stink Tank better now.
Yeah, and so it's kind of like unselect committee. Or, yeah.
But both of them fit.
Yeah, they totally do. Think, stink. Yeah, I mean, thinking and stinking. It's something you do most of the time.
And I'm glad you showed the Taking Back Trump's America book, Sal. I never thought it would also wind up being my legal defense fund. What it really is a battle cry and blueprint to not just take back the White House in 20.
Yeah, but to also give me tissues to use as toilet paper and Kleenex when I'm weeping in jail and shitting myself with fear.
2024 for Donald Trump, but also take that House of Representatives away from Pelosi so she can quit weaponizing illegally the investigatory powers. And there's a connection.
Yeah, she's not doing that. Here's a good idea. You could really this really apparently gets the FBI off your back. Stop criming.
Between the Taking Back Trump's America book and this article, you and I served in the White House.
They're a lot in common. They're both poorly written, and I haven't read either one.
Seb, and I think we share the
a jail cell.
Deep concern that there were just too many bad personnel in the White House.
Uh-huh. I agree with you. There was one guy in particular that I thought just fucking sucked. I bet you my chat room agrees with me that there were a few problematic people in the Trump White House, but one in particular that can genuinely go fuck himself.
And in the Taking Back Trump's America book, I have this mantra that says, it's kind of like a takeoff on the Reagan thing. It's
kind of ripped off.
Bad personnel not only equals bad policy, but also bad politics. And it was people.
Great. I mean, can somebody write that down so I can set it on fire?
Like many of whom now occupy the AFPI, who help.
Hold on. Somebody. What do you call it? What do you call a cow with no legs? Answer Granby. Quit it. Stoney, I'm glad to be of service.
Helped make that election effectively close enough to steal. And so I've been.
Oh, yeah. Don't try to take TYT's thunder. Oh.
I've been holding my tongue about this America First Policy Institute, but it keeps getting worse and they keep going off the rails. I mean, and so terrible. In the article in America.
It's almost like Trump surrounds him with completely inept fuckheads.
Great.
It's like he's a shithead magnet.
And I thank them for publishing that article.
Oh, yeah, it was good of them.
I just go chapter and verse behind the agenda that.
Okay, by the way, still has not explained what the fuck he's talking about.
That really is there. It's a Trumpism without Trump agenda. What they're trying to do is cherry pick all of the politically attractive aspects of the Trump agenda
and get rid of him because he's the most unattractive part of Trump is Trump, actually.
Take Trump's money to fund their institute, use his good name, and then shove him or gently push him out of the way.
Well, let me tickle him.
And meanwhile, they're fitting the drapes for positions in the new White House. I mean, the head of the
picking out the drapes is the phrase. Just saying.
The AFPI has already crowned herself chief of staff in the new administration. And it's like I served with Brooke Rollins. She's a nice enough person, but she's two things: friggin' incompetent, and she's not MAGA. Okay.
So I don't know why. She sounds perfect.
Okay, and
you served with her, and she's incompetent and not MAGA. Hashtag the best people.
Just in the months leading up.
By the way, why would you think those are mutually exclusive?
Up to the 2020 election, after she got appointed to be the Domestic Policy Council Director, which is a high position in the White House.
For someone so incompetent, you'd almost think that the person who was running things didn't give a rat fuck about how things are actually run.
She just constantly threw sand in the gears of the president, trying to get stuff out there that really would have helped win votes.
So what are these people, Peter? Are these rhinos or are these people with no?
No, there's a whole new. These aren't rhinos. These are Republicans in face only. Rolos. Magoo.
Ideology who just want money and power using the.
That sounds like an awful person. Can you imagine someone who just wants money and power? I can't imagine you guys ever electing someone like that.
Trump name.
Yes. No, it's a mixture. Okay, let me just run through some of them.
Yeah, please. Yeah, explain it because I'm fucking lost.
I think the most dangerous snake is Bobby Jindal, the former governor of Louisiana.
That fucking guy. Absolutely. What?
He's one of the chairs and one of their centers.
One of the centers. All right.
He's been pushing the Trump without Trumpism agenda.
Son of a bitch. I bet he wants to run again, doesn't he?
It's 2017, Seb, and they let that SOB in there.
The nerve.
Then you got Mark Lauder. I left him alone.
That fucking guy. Mark Lauder.
In the article, because I thought he kind of got a raw deal when he was in the administration from some of the same people who gave you a raw deal. But boy, he came out after I published that article.
Was there a lot of like raw dogging going on in that I'm not aware of? When's Steve Navarro's book, White House Raw Dog, the true accounts of a White House bottom?
He went right after me with a falsehood. Number one,
not a falsehood. What?
And then he goes after Trump on CNN in front of Acosta. And the thing you have to know about Lauder is like he's a pure Mike Pence guy. So
fuck that guy. You know what that means? He's going to go to church a lot and do what's right when everybody thinks he's going to do the wrong thing. Son of a bitch.
Think about this, Seb. The head of media communications at the think tank that's supposed to be Trump's is a Mike Pence guy.
Oh, fuck that. And Mike Pence, I mean, that was one of the most contentious VPs we have ever seen. I don't think there's a single picture of Mike Pence looking at Donald Trump with anything but jealous contempt. He couldn't wait to hamstring Trump and step into those shoes. By the God, Mike Pence from day one, you're like, if I was you, Trump, I'd sleep with one eye open because that dude's coming for your job. No one hates you more, Mr. President, than your own quote unquote number two.
I mean, you can't make that up.
You just did.
Rollins is simply incompetent. She doesn't have in her DNA MAGA. There's another guy I really got a bone to pick with. This guy named Casey Mulligan.
Fucking Casey who?
You'll never hear him again, probably.
Yeah, right. But thanks for bringing him up.
Besides a name, but he was on the Council of Economic Advisors.
Oh, the thing you ran horribly.
And he's just a pure anti-Trump trade policy guy. He hated our tariffs. He hated our trade policy.
And you can never, in a working group on economics or on domestic policy, ever have anyone who has a contradictory viewpoint, because that fucks up the whole thing. You have to, if you don't have basically a rowboat full of yes men, how are you going to ever get anything done?
And these minions, Seb, and these minions with no names behind the scenes have power, and they deter, derail, destroy a presidential agenda.
And that's the thing is, I mean, with friends like these, who needs Democrats? These guys are fucking the whole thing. And I know a lot of people are going, gee whiz, I've been hearing Trump say over these years that everything he tried was, he was stopped by Democrats and he still accomplished a lot. And all the people who were against him on the left were just nonstop. They were always after him. Russia, and impeachment number one and number two, and Mueller and blah, blah, and they couldn't get a breath of air. Turns out, according to two guys who were actually in the administration, that no, they were busy fucking themselves up.
Bad policy,
Peter.
Bad personnel is bad policy.
Peter,
I go on and on.
Peter, I have to stop you right there because I was one of those awful people. And
No, you can. We've got 60 seconds left. Most important question. I'm going to repost the article now on Twitter. The book, Support Peter. It's Taking Back Trump's America.
I think he should have just named it Support Peter. Sorry.
60 seconds. Is there an organization out there that is MAGA or is America First, or do we have to create one?
No, it's basically a couple of Reddit threads of QAnon followers, and that's pretty much it. Unless you count like the golf members at Mar-a-Lago, and even then, I think a lot of those folks have a foot out the door.
Because the clock is ticking, Peter.
I told the boss in this article, put Liz Harrington or Johnny McEntee in charge of that. Give them the power to hire and fire and clean that frigger out.
Clean that frigger out. Liz Harrington, by the way, is the president's spokesperson who famously posts his statements on Twitter on his behalf. She doesn't seem to post his Truth Social statements. She really focuses largely on just the official statements on the fake presidential letterhead that he puts out. She's a lunatic sycophant as well. This is what they're basically saying, what Navarro is basically saying is that you can't have any contradictory voices around Trump, because if anybody isn't 100% on the team, they will eventually turn on him. And that includes, I mean, he's including people who are like in the Michael Cohen zone, where they would be with Trump for years, and then when they realize that he's a disloyal prick, they might jump ship. You can't even he has to stock people up with, no matter how hard Trump, teabags them, they just keep saying, "Thank you, Lord, may I have another."
I mean, you can use the place, but you got to get rid of all the rhinos, never Trumpers, and those Trumpism without Trump people. It's a bad thing.
Yeah, it's terrible. This is an organization, that America First Policy Institute, that's where he just spoke the other day. That's his group. That's Trump's group. That is supposedly the MAGA think tank that's supposed to legitimize the policy ideas. That's why he was giving that stupid fucking lame-ass policy speech we saw the other day, that we went through a good portion of it. We'll go through another chunk in one of the days coming up, just as we eke our way through it. But there's no real reason. It's just fucking dull. But the reason he had to go to this thing, why he was specifically going in front of this AFPI group and giving this particular speech, where he was like, you need to shoot drug dealers, and we need the wall needs catapults with acid buckets or whatever the fuck. The reason he was saying all those things when he normally just blathers about the election went everywhere else is because he was trying to legitimize the AFPI, the group he's shitting on right now, and turn them into a legit political arm of MAGA, to grow MAGA up into one. It's not going to fucking happen. And think about this for a second. They decided to take MAGA and make their own heritage foundation. That's what they're trying to do. And when's the first time you guys heard about the AFPI, the America First Policy Institute? Maybe when they set it up a year ago or some shit. I can't remember the first time it came up in anything more than a blurb, but this is the first time I have ever seen them have a gathering. Was when it was just now, exactly, Hikara. They brought, right, Michael, never, exactly. They brought Trump to D.C. to give a speech in front of this AFPI group, because this was supposed to set him on a course towards 2024 and his genuine policy stuff. Everybody's like, today, never, right now, 2 seconds ago. Exactly. That, and the amazing thing is, honest to God, until he gave that speech last weekend, I had not thought of the AFPI or the, as anything more than a letterhead bullshit organization, which it isn't. But the point is, they were trying to make it into something. And 4 days later, this motherfucker is going, these people are trying to destroy Trump. The whole video, they're like, have they already betrayed President Trump? They're talking about his own group. It's fucking amazing. How do you fuck up something? Jesus Christ. It's one thing to start a political action committee or something like that, and then it just doesn't go forward. That's one thing. But to have it turn on you and have your defenders come out and go, that fucking place, Jesus Christ, what a den of vipers. Do you have any idea how bad you have to be at your job to shit the bed that hard? Holy God. Again, all Trump does is fuck up. Everything Trump touches dies. This is Trump steaks to Trump super PAC. Trump think tank is as good as fucking Trump football. Or
this is bad, and the boss needs to do something about it.
Listen to this. This is bad, and the boss needs to do something about it. Meaning Trump has to get rid of everyone. He's got to fire everyone at the AFPI that he put in charge of it, or allowed to be put in charge of it, or fucking Don Jr. put in charge of it. God only fucking knows what the decision process was. Jesus Christ, what a joke. This is fucking, this is enormously pathetic. I'm kind of amazed. Yes, this is like the Truth Social of think tanks. It's difficult to fuck up this bad.
Had a bad feeling about it when I saw it. All these people I'd never heard of, all these people who didn't stand out for MAGA. Find out more. We're going to challenge Mark Lotter because he's been on the show a lot. We'll ask him about his comments about you. But in the meantime...
What did you do? No, you can't just drop that. Did the dude running AFPI shit on Peter Navarro? Is that what this is? It's beautiful. Why can't... Come on. It's the Apprentice. This is what happens. It's always going, no matter what happens with Trump, it's always going to be a shit reality game show.
Taking
and
back,
the boss.
Oh, and the boss. Taking back Trump's America, how we lost the White House and how we'll win it back. If you enjoy the show, make sure that you are...
Sorry, I had to flick a bug off my eyebrow. He thought Sebastian Gorka was saluting him, and he just went to point at the screen, and so he put his and then he went, fuck it. Watch this. He thinks Gorka's saluting him, and he goes to salute him back, and he just gives up on it.
But in the meantime, taking
and
back,
the boss.
Oh, and the boss. Taking back Trump's America, how we lost the White House and how we'll win it back. If you enjoy the show, make sure that you are subscribed. Go to...
Hey, ooh, ha.
Spotify, plug in my...
Melch it. Still worshiping God? Last time I heard, he was worshiping me.
My name, America First. Never miss an episode. Give us a 5-star review. We'll
never what episode?
The White House and how we'll win it back. If you enjoy the show, make sure that you are subscribed. Go to Spotify, plug in my name, America First. Never miss an episode.
Never miss an episode.
Give us a 5-star review. We'll be back with the man who published that piece.
The man who published it? Did he miss an episode? The guy who published it?
Chris Boskirk, stay on this channel. Friend.
Now.
If you want more, I
don't, actually. Oh, look, it's the same red phone they have on Flashpoint. Can I just point out again that not only have Trump's crowds been dwindling brutally over the last few months. I mean, in the last year, he's literally gone from... the biggest one I think was last summer. That's if we're just going by year over year. Last summer was 40,000, something like that, and then we're just shrinking down to like conference rooms and tiny little like meeting gathering-y things. The next thing's going to be it's going to look like Putin's long table with like 4 people in MAGA hats at the end of it, and it's bad. Is the guy with the beard English? Yes, he is. Well, allegedly. It might be a character. That's Sebastian Gorka. Dr. Gorka. He's a... he got his doctorate in... I think is officially an assistant professor of stick up your ass at Cambridge. He's Hungarian. Oh, dear Lord. Where he must have been educated somewhere else. Anyways, the fact that this organization there is being eaten alive from within is amazing. Now, speaking of amazing, welcome back to the show. It's HAL Sparks, Mega Worldwide. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Give a thumbs up. Support the show. Super chat. You can also, if you're watching this later, there's a little like heart donating button that you can help out the show, or you can always Venmo. You can subscribe today on Twitch as well, which helps us out. Always good. And Melissa, thank you. She says, love you from the QF days and thrilled to find you here. Keep going. We need you. Thank you so much, Melissa. Trina, his hands drive me nuts. They grow and shrink. I have not finished last night's show, and now I'm cutting into today's. Love from Ontario County. Laura, it stacks up after a while, I will say, but thanks, Larry, for subscribing. Joy, Jill Carter, thank you so much for the super chats. Treva, thank you for the super chats. And, of course, Debbie Cat, thank you for subscribing on Twitch. Greatly appreciated. Flang Doodle, thank you for resubscribing for 30 months. One of our oldest subscribers, and I just mean in time as subscriber. You're still a spring chicken as far as I'm concerned. Now, we haven't had a visit from our next guest in quite a little while. You know him. You hate him. He's the most miserable man on the internet, and his name is Greg Kelly. And one of the things that makes, there he is, sort of. One of the things that make Greg Kelly upset is black people in positions of power. You just got to say that it really irks this dude. There's something about it that just sticks in his craw, and he just doesn't have the strength to get it out. It stays stuffed in his craw. This one is classy. Shut up, Greg Kelly. Shut up, Kamala. You are ruining the country. Pronouns, political correctness, and telling a panel what race you are and what clothes you're wearing. Shut up, Kamala. You're ruining the country. Said Greg Kelly reports. A man who recently lost his time slot to Greta Van Susteren. You heard me right. Newsmax bumped Greg Kelly to the ass end of the night to give his spot to Greta Van Susteren, because apparently they're trying to class up the joint. But let's hear what is it that is what is it that's really driving Greg crazy about what Kamala Harris says. I'm ready to be embarrassed for my country. I hope the rest of you are.
Good afternoon. I want to welcome these leaders for coming in to have this very important discussion about some of
America has officially lost it.
the most pressing issues
It is a pronoun, by the way. I just want to say, most people don't pick it, but I think it's worthwhile.
of our time. I am Kamala Harris. My pronouns are she and her. I am a woman sitting at the table wearing a blue suit.
She is wearing a mask, so there are other women sitting at the table. It's a roundish thing.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. By the way,
hold on. Should we look at Harris blue suit? I'm sure this was a big part of. Okay, Snopes. Let's see, because there should be a full video of it. Just trying to find the whole. That's the Breitbart stop of it. Fact checked. Did announce her pronouns. Why are they all? Let's see. I want to see what she says right after. I'm a woman sitting here wearing a blue suit. Okay. Greg Price.
Good afternoon. I want to welcome these leaders for coming in to have this very important discussion about some of the most pressing issues of our time.
It's the same.
I am Kamala Harris. My pronouns are she and her. I am a woman sitting at the table wearing a blue suit. And
I'm guessing the reference was that she is pointing out that there are other women sitting at the table, and since people are wearing masks, differentiating camera to camera who everyone is, there are other women sitting at the table with brown hair, wearing masks, wearing other things. Yeah, there you go. Kamala Harris announcing her pronouns, totally necessary and sane behavior. And again, the end of this, again, this is pointing it out. Again, I'm not quite sure what the upset part is, but apparently telling people what color your suit is ruining the country. Let's find out how.
My name is Greg. I am a cisgender white male.
Citation needed.
I am
where most of us are sure that you are a hand puppet made by the same people who did Comic the Insult Dog, and they scrapped an early version.
Wearing a
diaper,
blue shirt and a dark jacket, and my pronouns are, shut up, Kamala, you are ruining the country.
Very tough, very macho. Some of us, I feel, have just become bottoms just listening to that. Obviously there's a new dog in town. This is how alphas are made.
You are ruining the country, you and your people, and you and your leftist woke agenda.
You and your people. All right.
And this nonsense, they are pushing it across our society.
Why? Who cares what people push?
Corporate America is
Stop corporate America. I don't know why Greg doesn't just marry some of the folks, the anti-corporate crowd. There's so much. I feel like that's ground that they could meet in the middle on.
buying into it. The Pentagon is buying it.
Oh, no.
Into it. Anytime anyone ever says, these are my pronouns, this is what I look like. By the way, why do they describe what they're wearing? I don't know.
Because there are other people at the table. And, I mean, obviously it's mean to the colorblind.
The visually impaired. That is a message for me.
Yes. The vice president was discussing accessibility for the disabled. Right.
You to either walk out of the room and not listen to a word they're saying, because these are not serious people and they are not to be listened to.
Which should be the title of this show.
Hello, everyone. I'm Natalie Gadilla. I'm a Caucasian woman with long blonde hair, and I go by she, her.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nick Fillingham. I'm a Caucasian man with glasses and a beard. I go by he, him, and I'm a security evangelist here at Microsoft.
A security evangelist.
Pronouns are she, her. I'm a white woman with long brown hair. I'm wearing
sandy blonde.
a red dress, and I'm wearing a see-through mask so you can see my red lips.
I am a black woman with curly hair, and I am wearing a vintage black and floral dress.
I'm a white woman. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm here in my hacker hoodie in my office with my bookshelves and, of course, my MITRE ATT&CK matrix flag in the background.
And by the way, are they fucking talking? I mean, they might be talking about neurodiverse people as well who have autism and have a hard time linking people and attributing characteristics and names to those people. Who gives a rat fuck?
Oh, that's so much fun. Yes. Oh, you can be virtuous and we can show off to our liberal friends and we can.
Are you just upset you weren't invited, Greg? Nobody invites you anywhere, do they, Greg? You're not even invited back to the bus.
Do what our enemies are not doing.
Care about people. That's why they're our enemies. Treat people as human, even if they have disabilities. That's why those people are our enemies. Because they don't do those things. That's what distinguishes us from our enemies. Dumb fuck.
Wasting time.
Yes. Yes. Russia's not wasting time in Ukraine. China's not wasting time building buildings no one will ever live in.
And you know what? You know who said it very early on? The way.
Let me guess. Trump?
No politician would. This.
David Duke.
This and all that other stuff is a great big waste of time.
I think the big...
Oh, yes, you're right. He is a big waste of time. I mean, it's a great way to describe him.
problem this country has is being politically correct. I've been challenged by so many people, and
that grabbing women by the vagina.
I don't frankly have time for total political correctness. And to be honest with you, this country
owns 16 golf courses in the U.S. and nationwide. And worldwide. No.
Doesn't have time either.
4, I think, now.
Amazing, right? So right. But since then, 7 years ago, the country has gone even crazier with this political.
Yeah, and while he was president, I blame him. Also, he lost his job, so, yeah.
Correct nonsense. We don't have the time.
No, we don't have the time. None of us have the time. No one has. We have so little time. Why would anybody watch your show, Greg? I mean, how do you? We have. I gotta go. I realize I'm just running out of time right now. I can't waste my time. We don't have time to be politically correct. Adding 3 words to our introductions to people we've never met before. I don't have time for this shit. What do they want next? Learn a foreign language?
We don't have the time for so much of what we're doing, but we're doing it anyway.
Well, where do we find the time? It's amazing.
January 6 hearings. What a colossal waste of time and money.
Well, they're pretty successful for being a colossal waste of time and money. A lot of people are starting to show up, and they're not even avoiding the subpoenas anymore.
And they're not actually getting to the bottom of it at all.
No, if they were at the bottom, you could see them on your way to work.
Something happened today, by the way. A person was sentenced to prison for a very long time. But first, do you remember what they said about January 6th in terms of race?
January 6th, when extremists, when terrorists, when white supremacists attacked our nation's capital.
Yes, 3 distinct yet sometimes overlapping groups.
To be part of a white supremacist raid on this Capitol.
The people who ended up at the Capitol on January 6th, many...
Are they going to sentence somebody who isn't white? Is that what the idea is, that they're Hispanic or something like that? Right.
Many of them white supremacists carrying Confederate flags. They were also motivated by racism.
Okay, keep telling yourselves that because, well, this is always overlooked.
You know what's always overlooked? The fact that Greg Kelly is back to looking down instead of at the camera. Maybe that's why you got bumped, buddy. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's the problem. Perhaps, just perhaps, is not engaging.
Downplay, but there are people from all over who are from all racial groups, actually. Mark Ponder, 56-year-old man, well, he's in a lot of trouble.
Right.
He pleaded guilty. We'll get to the charges in a moment, but he was there, and there were plenty of people. There were Asians, Hispanics, yes, white people, but they weren't.
Yeah, there were a few of those in there. No group is perfect, I guess, is what you're saying, Greg.
Driven.
Was he carrying a Confederate flag?
By race. I don't believe that.
Well, he sure as shit wasn't Antifa.
At one point, by the way, it looked like, well, the woke left used to stick up for people like this when they went through, well, this dog pile.
Dog pile? Dude, he's charging cops. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, he's the new Rodney King. That's the point.
Wow, there might be 20 cops on top of Mark Ponder at the...
No, there aren't. Stupid. There's like one guy that Ponder takes to the ground, and then 2 that he rolls over on him. The other 2 try to separate them, and then a circle appears around them to keep other people from attacking the cops that are on the ground. There you go. There's Mark Ponder. Look at that. Just reaching up in the guy's face. There you go. Takes the cop to the ground. They go down, and then he rolls over on him, and then there's these cops trying to pull him off and get Ponder, and then the rest of them create a circle around him. See that? That is very distinctly different.
Wow, there might be 20...
700. There's like 700 cops.
Cops on top of Mark Ponder at this point.
No, there isn't.
All right. Mark Ponder, though, made some mistakes that day.
Yeah, he did. He made some mistakes that day. He was on his way to a black supremacy rally, and he accidentally got swept up in a white supremacy rally. He just heard something about supremacy, and it could happen to anybody.
Absolutely. He shouldn't have done this. He grabbed a great big stick and took a whack at a cop. Take a look at this. Now, fortunately, the cop's shield, blunts the blow. Still, you can't do that stuff.
No, you can't do that.
He's in big time trouble. Let's go through it. He is sentenced to 63 months in jail. He's been held in jail since March of 2021.
Yeah, because he's one of the assholes who said, fuck you, if you let me out, I'll do it again.
We believe this is the longest sentence imposed on anybody. Mark Ponder happens to, again, I don't think race was motivating these folks, and I don't think it was motivating Mark Ponder.
No, that's why there were like violent insurrectionists, terrorists, and white supremacists. There were definitely groups there that were not coming to Mark Ponder's aid in this circumstance.
Now, it's interesting. He's going to jail for 63 months. This individual, take a look, who's beating up a cop like crazy, is already out of jail. This just happened on Saturday, and he was released on Sunday. He was already in trouble just a week earlier for beating up another person. Last Wednesday, arrested for violent...
Released on intensive community monitoring.
Robbery, released on intensive community monitoring, whatever that means.
That means that you have to have an ankle bracelet on. You got to check in. It's basically parole until your trial. And if you don't act like an asshole or get involved in anything bad, then your sentence will be shortened and that kind of stuff. But that guy was on a subway interacting with a cop, not participating in an attempt to overthrow democracy. And while he's in an altercation with a police officer, by the way, a black police officer, I'm glad you care. Finally, Greg. That the altercation between the two of them will be litigated in court.
And then attack happened on Saturday, released Sunday without bail. He's subject to a 6 p.m. curfew.
Right, and he's got
That's his
ankle monitor.
Status right now. Isn't that amazing? This kid's walking around. Ashley Babbitt, meanwhile.
Was engaged in an insurrection and punched somebody before climbing through a window to attack fleeing members of Congress.
She didn't grab a cop. She wasn't wrestling somebody to the ground, huh?
By the way, she also was not trespassing on public property. Even that dude is technically not through the gates on the subway without paying or anything.
What is happening
with like he's in the public area that you don't have to pay to be in. So
justice in America. So everything is backwards. Everything is
upside down. It's so bad. It's just the word. It's so bad. Why? If only
screwed up. I mean everything.
Everything.
Cops are crying. We see cops crying. We see the presidential assassins, would-be presidential assassins, flourishing on Twitter. Yeah, John Hinckley has a Twitter account now. Trump is off of Twitter.
Right. It's weird that even John Hinckley can stay within the terms of in the TOS, but Trump can't.
We have people who are paid not to work
and smoke weed. I don't realize. So wait a minute. There are models paid not to work and smoke?
America is losing wars.
We are?
Okay. Anybody remember? Almost a year ago, we lost in Afghanistan.
Well, for the record, I would if he plays this video all the time. The guy's going to run through and be
men
very happy.
pretending to be women.
Oh, men pretending to be women.
We have no control of our border. The border has absolutely been obliterated.
That was a year ago.
Kids
and see those people going back.
Sexualized, and somehow this is seen as righteous and healthy by the left.
It is.
It's clearly illegal.
It's clearly illegal.
And now we're targeting people just for how they look, especially white women.
We are?
You know, the whole Karen thing?
Yes, so Karen's now, I mean, this does look like a Karen Halloween costume.
Remember this story from St. Louis? I will never get over this.
Well, that's true of a lot of things, Greg.
She lives in a condominium.
Yes, you do.
There's a front door.
There is a front door.
Apartments. Everybody's supposed to have a key fob. Some guy she doesn't know is behind her in the vestibule. She's like, I'm not letting you in. Do you have ID? Do you live here? What's the story? No big deal. A small disagreement,
a few N-words thrown around.
Two people. It becomes national news.
A confrontation caught on video, a white woman blocking a black tenant from entering their apartment building, demanding proof that he lives there.
Thank you, David Muir. This is the most watched news program in the world.
Hold on. Let's see. Where's the caught on camera? Let's see.
David Muir.
Station caught on video, a white woman blocking a black tenant from entering their apartment building.
Okay, well, blocks. Let's see. Blocks. Black tenant. This is yeah, because here you go. White woman who blocked black neighbor from building is fired. Black man arrived at the entrance to the building where he lives in St. Louis late Friday night, only to find himself blocked by a white neighbor who demanded proof he lived there. Please move, ma'am. Video recorded the counter, which shows a woman with her dog on a leash standing in the doorway of the complex. I can, she responds, do you live here? I've already answered that question. Excuse me, he replies, trying to get in. But the woman, Hillary Miller, refused to move as she continued to ask Mr. Toles what unit he lived in and see his key fob. When he declined to tell her, she remained in his path. You want to come into my building? She begins to say, it's not your building. You're not the owner. And he said, excuse me. Mr. Toles posted videos of the episode on his Facebook, quickly spread on social media, called her apartment Patty. Wait a minute. How is she not apartment.Karen? Yeah. Over the weekend, Ms. Muller's employer, Tribeca STL, which manages real estate elsewhere in the city, said in a statement on its website, reviewed the video and fired her. Tribeca does not own the building where Mr. Toles and Ms. Muller live. The Tribeca is minority owned, and that consists of blah, blah, blah. We're proud of the fact. Blah, blah. Mr. Toles said on Sunday, about 30 minutes after he got into his unit, a police officer knocked on his door and told him that Ms. Muller felt uncomfortable about Mr. Toles being there. He said he told the officer he was renting the unit and that he had shown Ms. Muller his key fob. She could not be reached for the thing. It was the latest known incident of a white person caught on video confronting, calling on a black person performing everyday babysitting, eating, Brooklyn, Delhi last week. A white woman called the police after claiming that a young black man touched her behind. He had not. In an interview, I remember this. Like we talked, there were a bunch of these in a row. She said, Mr. Toles said he pulled out his phone to record the encounter because I didn't feel safe in the situation. At the end of the day, is there video about this? It's kind of hitting me again. Think about the whole thing. It's pretty sad. He said it made him feel like you can't be who you are in America. So now you're going to, let's see. In one of the videos, Mr. Toles is in an elevator. Miss Muller follows him. He says, so now you're going to follow me? I am, she says. Yeah, she sounds like a ratty, awful person. But apparently, by the way, if she hadn't let a white dude into the apartment because of the same thing, Greg wouldn't care either.
Building, demanding proof that he lives there.
Thank you, David Muir. This is the most watched news program in the world.
And you're not.
And they're talking about a disagreement.
In October of last year.
A simple what?
A simple what? Why are you recovering this in July a year later?
What? Why?
What? Yes, it's an epidemic. There's so many of these stories. It happens with such furious repetitiveness. I'm over with, like, we don't have to, I had a story from this afternoon at 4. This morning, 2 hours before, there was another, like, for fuck's sake.
Why would they do that? Why would they do that to this woman? I think we know the answer. They're trying to subdue, shape political views, voting patterns.
What? This is a story from October of last year, you fucking tool.
Among women.
Among women. Yeah, because the Roe v. Wade decision has no effect on that.
Especially white women. Now, who's controlling all of this?
Yeah. Who's Kamala? Kamala Harris? It's her blue suit, isn't it?
It's actually not Joe Biden.
No, of course not. He doesn't control anything. He's too busy being old, demented, sleepy, unaware, and yet running a criminal mastermind level organization like the mafia. I mean, it's exhausting.
I'm pretty convinced. He's a bad guy, bad president, but this is beyond.
The Bidens are compromised. Where the fuck did we get? How did we get from Kamala Harris saying she had a blue jacket on because they were talking to neurodiverse people with disabilities, and this to this?
His intellectual ability, this kind of plot to subvert America. And
yeah, it's so complicated. Only a paranoid lunatic could think this up in their head and then think somehow it's actually happening.
He's going along with it because he's vulnerable.
Yeah, he's vulnerable. Yes, Kamala Harris's blue suit is blackmailing Biden with pictures and details of Hunter Biden's life that we all already fucking know. Joe, if you don't give us what we want and turn this place into a socialist woke hellhole, we're going to tell everyone that your son used to smoke crack. We even have some pictures that we're going to show. See these pictures? Yes, we did get them off Twitter. We're going to, if you don't do what we want, we're going to show people this picture of your son smoking in the bathtub. Check out this heavily edited video where it looks like he's weighing crack, where you never actually see him in the crack in the same shot. I don't know why it's cut at the beginning and the end. It's not important. The important thing is, is this the kind of thing you want the American people to see? If you don't give us exactly what we want, this New York Post article goes out 2 years ago.
I mean, Hunter and the laptop.
Yeah, exactly. Why would you can't blackmail somebody with shit that's already out, dummy? Thanks, Beatnik. Appreciate that. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Irene, for subscribing. Yeah, dude, you can't. They already know. What the fuck are you going to spring on us? Even if the money story, which isn't true, of Hunter Biden came out that he got money from China and money from Ukraine through Russia and the mayor of Moscow's wife and all that, none of this is reflected in actual policy. If he got money from the mayor of Moscow's wife and this was supposed to compromise him and keep Biden from helping Ukraine, it's not fucking working. If he got money from China, it was supposed to control him so that Biden would get rid of Trump's tariffs and not push back if they took over Taiwan. It's not fucking working. If anything, every one of these stories points out to how much integrity Biden does have because he doesn't give a shit. You seem to think there's more stuff out there instead of this 8-year-old bullshit that we're supposed to freak out about. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Michael. Yay. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for that super chat. That's incredible. Honest to God, how do you blackmail someone with shit that everybody knows? I still don't get that point.
They could throw the switch on him and throw that guy in jail for decades, probably.
With what? Guess what, dummy? Thanks to Rudy Giuliani, everything on the laptop is totally unusable in a court of law. All of it. Because of the chain of evidence on that bullshit, nobody, like a first-year law student could get this shit thrown out, you stupid fuck.
Probably. And Joe Biden himself, he's vulnerable.
Why?
I mean, look at this.
What?
How easy would it be for them to orchestrate more women to come forward and say that Joe made me feel uncomfortable? Joe.
Well, apparently not. By the way, not enough. And also, if it didn't stop Trump, why the fuck do you think it's going to stop anybody else? Here, I got something for you, Greg. Hang on one second, buddy. Hold on. This is an oldie but a goodie. But I think, I think ultimately, let's see. There you go. Yeah, here you go. How in the world? Let's see. This dude. How about that one? There you go. How about this dude? How about this? Let's see. How about Greg? I know you'll like this one.
Moved on her, and I failed. I'll admit it. Whoa. I did try and fuck her. She was married.
Huge news, Sarah.
No, Nancy. Yeah. No, this was marriages, and I moved on her very heavily. In fact, I took her out furniture shopping. She wanted to get some furniture. I said, I'll show you where they have some nice furniture. I took her out furniture. I moved on her like a bitch, but I couldn't get there, and she was married. Then all of a sudden, I see her. She's now got the big phony tits and everything. She's totally changed her look. I better use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy. You can do anything.
Pull the hell.
Hello, how are you? Hi.
Just
NBC News
fucking gross.
Objectified me.
He objectified me.
Got rid of Andrew Cuomo in about 2 days with some.
No, it took months.
Of that. Oh, don't forget, he also has, well, other family members who have been profiting in strange ways.
I'm Frank Biden. I'm the non-attorney senior advisor to clients statewide who need diversified business solutions through the Berman Law Group. I'm available for consultation with Attorney Teddy Berman in any of our offices statewide.
Joe,
that sounds terrible.
Biden's brother, Frank, who never went to law school, is the front man for a major law firm, and he's in all the commercials, and he's not a lawyer.
Yeah, he says so in the thing. So I guess they're not going to be able to bust him for pretending to practicing law without a license.
Talk about fishy. So
talk about fishy.
Actually, I don't think Joe Biden is pulling the strings for this societal breakdown, but these people just may be.
Laurene Powell, Steve Jobs's. Wait, Obama and Soros. All right, it's a good mix of people.
George Soros.
That had to be in there. I mean, you can't have a Greg Kelly freak out without dropping a super Jew.
Barack Obama.
Well, I can't imagine why the existence of Barack Obama upsets Greg Kelly. One day we'll figure it out.
A woman named Laurene Powell Jobs, hugely wealthy and funding all kinds of crazy woke initiatives.
Yes, we got a new target. Apparently, Soros and Obama aren't doing it for people, so they need a left-wing Ann Coulter.
Yeah, these people. I think Joe is actually working for them. A year ago, I would have said this is crazy, can't be true. No,
he wouldn't have. A year ago, you were saying the same shit.
This is happening. Oh, heads up, Joe Biden, you may be out pretty soon. I mean,
no one wants Joe around anymore.
Your usefulness, you're no longer useful to Barack and to George. 75% of Democrats don't want Biden as a nominee.
Yeah, I guess it's over then. Yeah.
Yes, his days are numbered.
Yes, all of our days are numbered, Greg.
Stand by my prediction. He's going to have to resign sometime.
Yeah, he's going to have to resign 6 years from now, sure.
In 2023. I still think Trump is the one who can turn this all around. I know.
Yeah, he's going to turn it around because who wants the deficit cut in half? He'll turn it around. We'll go back into Afghanistan. We'll double our deficit. We'll double unemployment. We'll go back to a bunch of rampant pandemic deaths. We'll have near negative interest rates, which will default most of our debt after a while. And yeah.
Some people are out there excited about other, politics.
Yeah, like DeSantis, people like that, just but not me. I love this man. I need this man on me.
Whatever. This is the guy who changed everything.
He did. He changed everything. Not in a good way, but...
And he can do it again.
He changed everything, and then we changed it back. He really didn't have that much of an impact historically.
Hey, guys, it's Rob Carson.
Oh, God. Why are we jumping? Who gives a shit about Rob Carson? What is this? Oh, it's a gold ad? You fucker. Trump, what kind of sick person says this about my son? This from that speech.
Now we have the January 6th Unselect Committee of Political Hacks and Thugs. And it's the... Think of this.
Think of it. It's the... Think of it. We thank you.
Hacks and thugs. These are the same people that we've been dealing with for 4 years. Same people. And it's the very people who perpetrated the lies that I was an agent of Russia, like Adam Shifty Schiff and others who are standing before the same microphone, same thing. They get out and they say, oh, our country is suffering so badly because... And he knows the whole thing is a hoax. I said this the other day. He knew Russia was a hoax. Him, Hillary Clinton, the DNC, the Democrats. And he stood pompously before microphones. His head, as you know, I feel, is shaped like a watermelon. He's quite an unattractive man. Now, see, they'll get me in trouble for that, Kellyanne, because by saying he's unattractive, they'll say, that's a horrible thing to say.
No, they'll just make fun of the fact that you somehow think you're attractive.
But he said slightly worse about me. But think of this.
Yes, but attacks on character, dum-dum.
He knows it's a hoax.
Which he does not.
He knows
it's not a hoax.
A stupid person, an evil person, a sick person, in my opinion. But he goes before these same microphones and he said, President Donald Trump's son, Don Jr., will go to prison for what he's done with Russia. What kind of a man would say that my son, or put yourself in my son's position, that he's going to prison on something that he doesn't even know about, and that Adam Schiff knows is a hoax and a fairy tale. And
well, also, does anybody remember the exact Adam Schiff saying Don Jr. is going to go to jail for Russia? I think he was saying that Trump would let him go to jail, if I recall correctly, but we'll look it up. I'm not quite sure what the fuck he's leaning on, but also the fact that Trump put him in charge and has him signing off on things that will end up getting him in fucking trouble.
it was made up. And the New York Times, Bret Stephens did a piece on it the other day. They admit now that it was a totally made-up hoax.
No, they don't.
He's saying my son should go to prison, and he knows it was a hoax. What kind of a human being can do that? Only a sick, evil, very bad human being. And now I have the same people there, the same people, other than Cheney, who's the worst, and
yeah, totally.
Crying Adam Kinzinger. I watched him today. He's I mean, these people are just, but the same basic people are now going on this. And it's so unfair. When you see what happened to BLM, when you see what happened to Antifa, when you see what happened to all of the killings that took place all over the country, and then when you see what they're doing to people that in some cases didn't even enter the building, and you see the way they're being tortured and handled so
they're not being tortured
horribly.
When you see, by the way, this is the asshole who earlier in this speech says we need to shoot drug dealers after a 2-hour trial.
Kamala Harris getting people out on bail that burned down buildings and killed people, and getting them out on bail, and you can't even get many of these people out on bail.
Well, they're all offered bail, but they all tell the judge that they're going to fuck up the Capitol if they're let out, and so they don't get it.
A sad thing, and something's going to have to happen. These people are not going to take it much longer. There's 2 sets of justice, and we don't have to go.
2 sets of justice. Yeah, you got the one set for home and the other set for company.
Into it, but nobody's ever seen what's happening today in our
No, nobody's ever seen what's happening in today.
country. And they're doing the exact same thing with January 6th as they did with all these previous assaults in our country. So where does it stop? Where does it end? It probably doesn't stop because.
Now, I would just, for the good of the country, I would just turn myself in if I was you. Just do the time. Just, sacrifice yourself. Take one for the team, for MAGA, and go, I'll be a political prisoner. Mandela, Alexei Navalny, you could just offer yourself up.
Because despite great outside dangers, our
thank you, Kendo.
Biggest threat in this country remains the sick, sinister, and evil people from within. These are evil people. Crazy Nancy Pelosi. She impeached me twice only because she had enough votes. And the Democrats.
Yeah, imagine if we had enough votes in the fucking Senate.
Democrats do stick together, even though they don't agree with it, because they're afraid not to. She impeached me twice. But the Republicans stuck together also, so I'm honored that they did. But think of how sick that is.
So bad.
I got impeached over a phone call. Congratulations on your win. Trump gets impeached. I mean, this is just a crazy time.
Yeah, that's all he said. I mean, honestly, that was the part I found the most offensive. Not the part where he tried to leverage his power as president to try and dig up dirt and create a false investigation in a foreign country using military hardware that the Congress has already allocated the funds for this country. No, it was just the way he congratulated him. You know what I mean? Like, blah.
Never forget, everything this corrupt establishment is doing to me is all about.
He does a sling blade. Yeah, he does do the sling blade smile a lot. I've been doing this for a long time. I sure got impeached once. They give me that Russia hoax #1, Russia hoax #2, impeachment 1. French fried potatoes.
About preserving their power and.
Dave Navarro lives inside of his heart. That's an awfully big place to be.
Control over the American people. They want to damage you in any form, but they really want to damage me so I can no longer go back to work for you.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah. They want to damage him by convicting him of the crimes he's guilty of.
And I don't think that's going to happen.
I think they bought it. You think, hold on. We need a supporter of Trump's to come in here and, I think he's gonna run. I think he's gonna win. I think he's gonna run. I think he's gonna win. Oh yeah, I'm gonna run and win. I'm never gonna get tired of winning again. We're gonna do it. What? Are you looking right at me? How are you? What's up, sweet thing? You're right. Don't get any ideas. I'm spoken for.
Thank you.
You're welcome. 4 more tears. 4 more tears. 4 more tears.
Thank
4
you.
more tears.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You're so welcome.
Very nice.
It is nice.
Now, it's a very sad thing.
It's so sad.
Who else could have taken this?
Well, basically, there's you, there's Job, and there's Jesus Christ. And I think you got them both beat. Sorry, there's you, there's Job, and there's Jesus, there's Job, and there's you. Yeah.
You know, think of it. Nixon went through not even one impeachment.
Yeah, and he had the sense to resign.
And I think he always regretted that he didn't fight. But people...
He always regretted respecting the country more than himself. Won't make that mistake again.
It's been a very interesting period of time.
It has, yeah. The 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 10s, and now.
And to me, they say a very successful man came up to me and said...
Mike Pillow said this. No, it wasn't. Steve Bannon's skincare technician.
Could I ask you a question?
Yeah, see, and you went, another one?
One of the most successful. Could I ask you?
Yeah, the most successful person is like Elon Ford Gates. You've never heard of him, but trust me.
Good question. Yeah, what?
Do you know where I can get one of them fine Newsmax caps? And what'd you say?
How do you take it?
How do you take it? And you said, well, I grab my ankles and I just go, well, you got it coming.
How do you get up in the morning?
And you go, I don't. I stay in bed till 11 tweeting, and then someone comes over and pushes me into my shoes.
I say, do I have a choice, right? Do I have a...
Well, you do now because you live at a golf course.
Choice, and we take it, but I think the people respect it. I really do. I see that, and I see it maybe now more than ever.
Yeah, definitely not when you were in the White House. People respect the fact that you do not get up in the morning now more than they did when you were actually president. That's true, because it's a love that grows. And now he's doing like I'm doing, wistfully looking. How do I get me one of them nice Newsmax caps?
And the problem we have is that the fake news media is corrupt. And
it's true. Why are you looking at Newsmax when you say that?
Complicit. If they weren't, we would have a much quicker heal.
Yeah, totally. And our arch supports would be a lot better as well. Mine suck. Flat fucking footed. But it makes me good at running on thorns and leaves.
Quicker heal. Because in its own way, they're the police. They're the police of honesty and all. And when people don't trust them, their approval rating is now lower than Congress, which is saying something. Sorry for all you congressmen, but that's the truth. It's been there for a long time, but you know.
Yeah, the only thing that it makes it amazing that anybody could shit the bed worse than the Republicans in Congress.
You know, when I first ran, it was very high.
Yeah.
And I'm very honored to say that
now you're high.
I've revealed something that people just didn't know. But it's never been like it is now.
No, of course not.
It's never been like it is now.
Hey guys, it's Rob Carson.
Oh, hey, it's that Rob guy. Sorry, I was starting to doze off there at the tail end of that. Thanks for waking me up, Rob, with another show that no one watches. You're watching HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide, and I think that shows taste and breeding on your part. Don't forget to like and subscribe, support the show. I can speak. Subscribe. Support the show in any way you can, and if you can't, don't worry about it. Just click the subscribe or like or something. That's easy, and if you can help and keep the show afloat, do it. But if you can't, just enjoy it, because it's here for you. And so I want to, in the name of that, thank our patrons who consistently keep us on the air, our super chatters, our people who give us stars on Facebook, and of course, our lovely folks at Twitch who subscribe regularly and fill up that. One of these days, I'm going to turn this bar blue or purple or whatever. Yeah, it's purple. I'm going to turn it all the way purple somehow, someday. Someday, things are going to get twitchier. Someday. Okay. I'm over time, aren't I? But I started late. So I feel like we need to go, like, I need at least one, like, God damn it story. And this will do it. Ladies and gentlemen, police line do not cross. Empty shelves. America's in descending into hell. You can tell because there's hell up in the red part. There's like Walking Dead stuff. Devin Nunes. Yeah, I know. How did they coerce Joe Manchin to go along with this package? National Report. I don't know. It's almost like he's a Democrat or something. He won't go for everything, but he definitely goes with the Democrats' agenda. He just, he knows he can't go 100% because he won't get reelected. And if we lose his seat or any seat, we lose control of the entire Senate. And I know that's what you guys want, but fuck that. Okay, so let's see. Devin Nunes is going to, obviously, you guys are on Truth Social, so you've probably heard him say this. Let's hear it.
Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senator
The Biden Misery Index. So heartbroken.
Joe Manchin of West Virginia have struck a deal on a sweeping reconciliation package that will include massive tax hikes and climate change provisions.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
At a time when Americans are dealing with historic inflation. Our congressional correspondent...
Yeah, what's the name of the bill? What's the, What's the name of the bill? Do you know what the name of the bill is, ma'am? What an awkward name for a bill. It's going to be hard to vote against. Why did the Republicans all vote against the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022? I can't tell you.
Kilmeny Dukart joining us now live from the Capitol with details.
Yes, the only detail you need to know is that this is the Destroy America bill, which will never be an act.
Kilmeny, good morning.
Emma, good morning. Fireworks is probably the best way to describe how this news has hit Capitol
Well, party poppers, maybe noisemakers.
Hill this morning. We've been getting a lot of reaction, but right now, at this very moment, Democratic Senator Joe Manchin, who has been in isolation after being diagnosed with COVID-19,
had a good think about his mortality and decided he'd rather do some good for the world and came out of COVID thinking he should. No?
is talking to nearly 90 reporters going through sort of the genesis of how this deal with the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer came.
Which has been ongoing for months while people, by the way, were wailing and gnashing their teeth. By the way, I want you to think back to all the Manchin hating. It's been going on over the last 3 months. And I've probably been the easiest on him, for the record.
Came about detailing to reporters the Inflation Reduction Act, as they're calling it.
As it's named, the so-called.
Which they say would lower the deficit by $300 billion. And reduce carbon emissions by 40%. by the year 2030. And some of those details that we've been hearing from Senator Manchin is the confusion that he said he never walked away from the negotiating table, that yes, it has been very difficult and at times tense with Schumer, but they've had a friendship and a great working relationship during this, and they've been able to work something out. He also said that he previously walked away from the last deal, though, getting a little bit spooked by those CPI numbers that came out reflecting inflation hovering above 9%, but that the bill needed to be scrubbed to make sure that there wasn't anything inflammatory in it. But
anything inflammatory except fossil fuels, which there is some.
Again, it's drawn a sharp rebuke from Republicans. We've heard from both minority leaders and the House.
Cruel Angel Thesis, Ukrainian military ban on YouTube, promises 38 seconds of fun. Okay, gun PLA logic, I will look.
And the Senate, take a listen to this.
Do Democrats really believe that spending hundreds of billions of tax dollars right now while pursuing and punishing productive investments in the long run will lower inflation? Policies like that don't lower inflation. They cause inflation. You're going to spend more dollars chasing the same goods with fewer jobs and lower income in the long run, all during a recession.
All right, so let's take a look at what this...
How dare they lower the deficit and spend on things that will save lives?
This legislation really aims to do. It's aiming to raise $739 billion in revenue by placing a 15% corporate tax on billion-dollar companies or larger, yielding $313 billion. Prescription drug pricing reform to net $288 billion, and by providing billions of dollars to the IRS to pursue tax enforcement, it's estimated to raise $124 billion, along with closing that carried interest loophole, add another $14 billion to that. Manchin on this press call said he didn't believe that the 15% corporate tax was going to be inflammatory or anyway or hurt Americans, but we heard House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy.
We heard Kevin McCarthy. I see.
Blasting the funding that would be going toward the IRS, saying that it's going to be used to chase and spy on Americans so the IRS can continue to collect their checks. But this
why would they have to do that?
Has a long way to go, and there are still many questions right now, Emma and Sean, about whether this will have the support from Democratic Senator Kyrsten Sinema, who has previously opposed a lot of these tax hikes. It needs all 50 senators. So right now,
they signed the CHIPS Act beforehand to give her leeway to do it. She's fine.
The process is going through the Senate parliamentarian. Once it's finished, that could take possibly a few days. Democrats want to get this on the Senate.
The 15% minimum corporate tax, by the way, is aligned with the Janet Yellen plan of getting other countries to agree to having a 15% minimum corporate tax as well, so that people don't just run off to Ireland or other places where they can basically outsource their business headquarters and to close the loophole around just like we're an American company, but our headquarters are in, Dublin or some shit like that. And that way, every other country's playing on the same playing field.
Senate floor as early as next week, but then by potentially the time it reaches the House, you may have House lawmakers having to come back from that August recess to hold a vote on this.
I think they'll be fine.
Either way, major shakeup in their schedules. Kilmany Dukart with the latest. Kilmany, thank you.
And joining us now on this is former Congressman.
Oh, good Lord.
And CEO of the Trump Media and Technology Group.
Sorry. You just cut to him. Oh God. Can we just see that cut to again?
And joining us now on this is former Congressman and CEO of the Trump Media and Technology Group, Truth Social.
What a goober is right. Oh, what are we laughing at? There's fewer things funnier to me than people who are miserable trying to look fine. Especially people who deserve to be miserable. And Devin Nunes is one of the greatest examples of that ever. He just always brought on when there's some shitty news. Like, just about like the Truth Social's eating shit. Trump's had a bad week. This kind of stuff. And they bring him on like, let's talk to Devin. It's like it's like they're intentionally tormenting him with making him defend the indefensible. And it couldn't happen to a shittier guy. But his face every time they cut to him is just like, oh, God damn it. It's so, it gets me every time. And especially when it's just like, glad to be here. God damn it.
Devin Nunes joining us live. Devin, always good to see you. If I could jump in...
He's just frozen.
To this, the Democrats want to push this reconciliation bill through, titled Inflation Reduction Act. It carries $370 billion of clean energy.
He looks very happy.
Spending, climate energy, or climate change, if you will, spending within this bill. It comes at a time where there's 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP. It comes at a time of record high 41-year inflation, CPI, PPI numbers. Overall, with your congressional background,
yeah, you were great at blowing off the needs and wants of your constituents to sneak around Capitol Hill and bring evidence to Trump under the table. Tell us with your keen analytical mind.
What's happening? Do you think this new reconciliation bill is needed that we see on our screen now, is needed at this time?
By the way, notice how this is their recurring graphic. Well, what it'll cost.
Thank you. And it's a little bit shocking, quite frankly, because Joe Manchin has said no, no, no all the way along. I think there's probably a lot to come out from this. I just heard your reporter there in Washington, D.C. say that Joe Manchin is having some type of conference call with 90 reporters. Something just doesn't add up here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm starting to think he's actually a Democrat and that he and Chuck Schumer might have rope-a-doped Mitch McConnell into fucking himself into a cocked hat.
So why suddenly, at a time like this, on the same day where it's announced that there's a recession, to your point, you're going to pump even more money into the system? I mean, what have we not learned here?
Well, for one, it's not monetary inflation. It's supply shock based, and you're going to have to actually prime the pump as opposed to drain it. And in this particular instance, it doesn't add to the debt or the deficit, and it's 1-to-1.
So, look, I was in Washington long enough.
Yeah, I agree. True. Devin Nunes was in Washington long enough.
There's more to this story. Just have to stay tuned and try to get to the bottom of how did they coerce Joe Manchin.
Obviously, they have. Does he have? When do we get to see Hunter Manchin's laptop
to go along with this package?
To me, it's a common sense question. It needed to be asked yesterday.
Yeah.
And get an answer to it. Again, the climate revisions, that never got taken out. That is something that he has been opposed to.
No. He was opposed to the cost of it if they didn't mitigate them.
The basic question, what happened? I want to go to Jerome Powell now, if I can. I'll play the soundbite here addressing recession fears. This again, after this happened, the Fed decided to raise those interest rates by 75 basis points. Here's that.
So as I mentioned, it doesn't seem that the U.S. economy is in recession right now, and I think you do see weakening, some slowdown, let's put it that way, in growth. Overall, you would say that in all probability, demand is still strong, and the economy is still on track to continue to grow this year.
Looking at that soundbite, I'm really not sure that they would ever call out a recession, this administration. Your thoughts?
The good thing about
Powell's not in the administration, fucko. Powell's the Fed chair It was under Trump too.
About this is, if there is any good thing, is that we knew 3 or 4 days ago that we were headed into a recession.
No, we didn't.
Why? Because the fake news media and the top level officials in the Biden administration went out on this creative redefining what the term recession actually means. And so, Sean, they kind of gave it away that we were headed into a recession. I think.
Or they recognize that oftentimes a recession is caused by psychological factors, not material factors, and that since the right wing is doing everything it can to shove us into recession and deeper than we would go naturally, then if there even was one, also there was one in February 20. Hold on one second. Just so. I mean, if you really want to talk about this, the U.S. technically entered a recession in February of 2020. The longest expansion in U.S. history came to an end. The sharp decline in economic activity in February marked the end of the longest expansion in the U.S. since 1854, according to the National Bureau of Economic Research. Here are the expansions compared to the GDP since the end of World War II. 128 months from 2010, basically, and then look at that. Just shit the bed. This is before COVID. The United States officially entered a recession February 2020. The committee that calls downturns announced on Monday, bringing the longest expansion on record to an end as the coronavirus pandemic caused economic activity to slow sharply. The economy hit its peak in February and has since fallen into a downturn, the National Bureau of Economic Research Business Cycling Data Committee said. Hold on one second. On top of this, there is... Yes, stocks are overvalued, but by how much? Here's what history tells us. July 31st, 2019. This is gross. Okay, I can't read the whole article because it's behind a paywall. How about this one? Let's see. There you go. U.S. stock market is overvalued, IMF says. Belief in Fed rescue is allowing investors to ignore tensions over international trade policy. An environment of low interest rates has set off a search for yield and created stretched valuations in risk assets, including the U.S. equity market, according to the International Monetary Fund report released Wednesday. Equity markets appear to be overvalued in Japan and the United States. By the way, Japan is doing very well right now. The IMF said in its latest global financial stability report. Whooping, doing. When the markets have stretched valuations, it raises the possibility of a sharp, sudden adjustment, the report warned. The IMF said investors seem to believe that the Federal Reserve and other central banks will respond quickly to sharp tightening in financial conditions, hence implicitly providing insurance against significant declines in stock prices. The sort of safety net was first dubbed the Greenspan put after the October 87 stock market crash, and it is now updated to the notion of the Powell put and an allusion to the function of an actual put option, giving the holder the right but not the obligation to sell the underlying asset at a set price, serving as an insurance policy against market decline. This is that's from 2019. Basically, Trump, to some degree, was lucky COVID hit when it did because it hid the crashing nature of his monetary policy.
Most Americans feel it now, largely because despite pay increases, the costs of everything are driven up so dramatically.
Hundreds. That's what it. That's the cost of a gallon of gas right now. There you go, right there, hundreds of dollars.
That, and you never know these numbers. There's lots of numbers out there.
Yeah, there's lots of numbers. I mean, it's numbers.
But one alarming figure to me was that 40%.
Oh my God. Empty shelves. We told you. We warned you. These shelves are bare. Americans are going to have to learn to go without. They're not going to have their favorite flavor of chocolate milk. There's only 2 forms of chocolate milk. Well, there's other ones down here. But in this area, there's only 2. Is that blueberry milk? There's only 2 kinds of... Look, if you want whole 2% or skim, your whole milk options are fucking limited right now. Look at that. Look at this gap right here. Fucking doomed.
Percent of Americans right now it's taking their entire...
I love these slow, freaky push-in...
paycheck just to pay the bills. And I think...
Right. Celery, $4.50 for a bulk of it.
I think that should be of a very great concern. Now...
Shortages are obviously pay no attention to the sale prices. Put that man down.
Look, there is something very strange, though, out in the economy that people can't define. And we just opened True Social last week in the United Kingdom. So the same thing was happening in London. And that is that virtually every business are looking for people to hire. And that's just not explainable. So there are so many people that have dropped out of the workforce, and we don't know if this is COVID related, if there was a change in people's habits.
Or if they just, because their partner got more in wages, that they didn't have to work as much, or people dropped out of their other job and got a new job, or started working from home, or started an Etsy store.
But it's happening, here in my home state of California. I spend a lot of time in Florida. It's happening there. And then, of course, in London. And I was in Washington, D.C. and New York.
Well, obviously, that's Biden's fault.
York City in the past month. And everywhere you go, you have a lot of restaurants who can only stay open for 5 hours a day. They stop serving breakfast and lunch. So something strange is afoot here. And I think...
yes. When are people going to be desperate enough to take jobs at lower rates again?
There's still more to the story on that also.
Talking about another story, I think I got about a minute left with you. It's a little bit less than that. If I can get a comment on this, this headline here. Trump informs CNN of intent to sue for defamation, warns others.
I'm scared. I'm worried that he's going to come after me for the things that I said, and that the judge will find me in contempt for laughing during the entire thing.
The letter demands CNN retract coverage of the former president, Donald Trump, since 2016 within 10 days or face a lawsuit. I realize this would be litigated.
Well, no, it won't be, because he'll drop it as soon as he recognizes they'll get discovery, dum-dum.
So certain comments you'll be able to make, maybe you wouldn't be able to make, but if we could just get your thoughts
on being deposed.
Have you spoken with the president on this? Why now? Do you think
why now? Does he need the money?
I think CNN would comply. We've seen we've seen winnable scenarios with Nick Sandmann and others in this situation. Talk to me about it.
No.
Yeah, look, as someone who has brought many defamation cases, it goes back to kind of what we were talking about earlier when I said that when I talked about how the left came out with a narrative 3 or 4 days ago. It's not just the Biden administration that's doing it and their top officials, it's the news media. And I think that's the overall complaint.
The left is the news media, or the left came out that it's a talking point that it's the new, I don't know.
That when you have a fake news media where they control 95% of all the outlets, thank God not Newsmax, but...
Well, no one does, because they'd have to pay for it.
They create fake narratives and they go out to spread propaganda, which is very dangerous for a democratic republic. So if you take my cases, I haven't read, or I don't think the case has been filed yet of what President Trump is talking about filing.
Yeah, it's absolutely not. I mean, yours have been laughed out of court, so we can pretty much, if that's the standard.
But the courts have got to step in, because if not, people are getting defamed and slandered.
Yeah, tough shit.
Day after day after day. And
I heard somebody actually said they don't believe that he was actually born in the United States.
I think you've seen
Kenya, I think it was.
Clarence Thomas and other Supreme
Something about the president wasn't really born here. I know, I heard it a long time ago, but I think it's him.
Court justices say this. I will be having a case against CNN that will be going hopefully before the Supreme Court.
No, it won't. I'm sorry. I mean, it would be funny to watch, but I'm sorry, it's not going to happen.
The judicial branch of government, if they don't step in, this is going to continue to happen where people's lives are being destroyed, whether it's Nick Sandmann or whether it's people whose political beliefs, like President Trump, he has things that he wants to say about policy issues. And every day.
He's able to say them, and people, because of the evidence, can call them what they are. They have the same free speech rights as he does. Now, they call the big lie a big lie, but a lot of times they don't call him a liar, for example. The idea being that you can lie without being a liar because you can stop lying and suddenly you're not a liar anymore. Whereas calling someone, say, a compulsive liar all the time would be a defining form of defamation that the network itself could say, now this applies to everything he says and not just the one particular thing that's like raging horseshit.
He's defamed by these companies.
Nonsense.
And I went through the same process myself.
Yeah, but you lost and your shit got thrown out because it's ridiculous.
Yeah, just to be clear, we do have to go, but so yours got, I believe, tossed out by a judge. You're appealing.
Yeah, thanks for bringing it up. Now look at his face. Look, he almost got out of here, asshole.
All the way to the Supreme Court, is that correct? Is that the update on your case?
Yeah, I mean, look, I have several cases that are going right now that are actually live and we are moving forward on those cases. They're in discovery right now.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people have discovered that they're not going anywhere.
I have one case particularly against CNN that's an outrageous case. It accuses me of meeting with Russian agents and Russian oligarchs all over Europe. I mean, total nonsense. And look, what I've found in these cases, sadly, and I think if you take the Sandman...
Sadly, is that you have to show your emails and your communications around the dates in question, or they don't just take your word for it.
A case from yesterday, if you get a judge that it was appointed by a Democratic president...
Trump's judge threw this out.
Almost every single time
Trump judges throw it out.
Rule against you, and then you have to appeal it. And I've done
to a Trump judge who will throw it out.
Just that. I've appealed cases. I've won cases. Nick Sandmann will appeal this case. He'll likely win this case. But ultimately, we really need to get a case to the Supreme Court where we're going to overturn this ridiculous decision on New York Times v. Sullivan that holds public figures to some different standard than a regular U.S. citizen. It was a bad ruling from the beginning. And these fake news organizations have gotten away.
Yeah, that's true, because Trump's not really a president necessarily. He's a celebrity, and so is Devin. I mean, this is about him being a public figure. And because he's made an ass out of himself in public repeatedly, he can't even hide behind being an average Devin.
Way with murder on it. And now you've got the big tech companies who have joined with these fake news organizations to spread this propaganda even further into the American public.
Well, it's like, right. Technically speaking, this would be little media and little tech then. Newsmax and Truth Social that's little tech, LIL apostrophe tech.
Populous, hence, why am I at Truth Social? Why did I leave Congress to do this?
Because you knew you were going to lose your seat anyways.
It's precisely because of this reason, because the American people's minds are being poisoned.
Yes, and you realize that poisoning the American mind is a lucrative business, and you wanted to get some of that green.
Devin Nunes joining us live. We do appreciate that, Devin. Always good to see you.
Is this his default fucking face?
Thank you for your time.
Hold on. I think we... Hi, Devin. Thank you, Devin, for being here today. You were awesome. Hello. I learned so much, and I would never. I'm not gonna defame you in any possible way. I just want you to know that you're doing great, and I love being on Truth Social. And one of these days you have to introduce me to your friend Caramel Ken. He looks like Ken if he was washed in caramel flavoring. Good. Oh, see you next time. Oh boy. You're watching HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys for the support today. It means a lot. It's always awesome to be here. Let's see. And I think, let's see. Yep, we're all good. Make sure that, all right, excellent. Excellent. Sorry, I just got a message. I'm doing a comedy show in San Pedro for the Kiss Cruise that just came up from the lovely people at Punchlines and Backlines, and it just came up on my phone. I have so many dates to announce. I get to start having one of those Jimmy Dore graphics before the show starts. See Hal's meme Discord for recap. Excellent. Oh, great. Thank you guys so much. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. I will see you guys for the morning show tomorrow, and then, of course, the afternoon show where we will dive into we'll finish off Trump's speech, and then we'll get to some of these other folks that we were not able to get to today, largely because we honestly kind of don't give a shit. I mean, is there a difference between these two people right now? Between this person and this person, as far as their desire, their former Democratic status and their desire to keep people from voting? I don't think so. It's a thin line. They even look alike. I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else, and stay awesome. Okay, bye.